I'm going to tell you about, as a last talk, I have a few more minutes. I'm Salvatore Loguercio. I'm telling you about this joint work with Benjamin Good and Andrews at the Scripps Research Institute in US, California. And basically, the motivation of this work is the proliferation of biowikis. You have seen already SNPedia. You heard about GeneWiki, but there are a bunch of other wikis about biological pathways, single organism, DNA, and so on and so forth. So you got a lot of information which is useful for biologists and scientists, but this is just user-provided but scattered around several wikis. So, for instance, if you have a gene, you get information about the gene, a clinical relevance on GeneWiki. You have information about human variation and SNPedia, then pathways and structures. But how you can gather this information together and make it useful eventually. So here you got another screenshot of the two wikis we wanted to work on, SNPedia and GeneWiki. On SNPedia you got no text content about gene function, whereas on GeneWiki you don't have a structured information about genetic variation. So basically we wanted to answer two questions. One technical, how we can combine this knowledge in SNPedia with the knowledge on GeneWiki, and another biological one, just to connect genes with diseases, using both sources of information. And so we came out with this, let's say, with this experimental wiki Mashup, where we used the SMWCon framework just to pull articles from GeneWiki and SNPedia, put them together and link the information. So this is the roadmap of the Mashup. First step was just obviously to install the semantic video wiki. Then we get the data. Then we basically get the data from GeneWiki and SNPedia. Probably most of you know the MediaWiki API I've been using. It's a very useful tool, but most importantly, the same API is shared across several biological wikis. So this means that the same code can be used over and over again, the same bots. So very simply, this is the way we got the article content, just using the REST API to get content from the two wikis, and then to write them on the semantic GeneWiki. The code is available. Then we got those entities on our SMW. Then we had to basically find unique identifiers to make the linking possible. So the problem was on GeneWiki, because GeneWiki is a section of Wikipedia, it's a Wikipedia about human genes. Whereas on SNPedia we had unique identifiers already. In GeneWiki, you can have whatever names for genes. So we had to use basically to add relationship like the same as, and to map to unique identifiers here. And as you can see here, luckily we had the entrance genes in SNPedia, but we could link them to the same entry in GeneWiki thanks to info boxes that contain this information. So this linking was made possible this way, and the other way around. So at this point we had to identify those associations between genes, SNPs, and diseases. And basically we achieved that in two distinct ways. On SNPedia, we used the hyperlinks from SNPs to medical conditions and vice versa. Whereas on we came up with those associations. We use just a very generic thing like property associated with disease. And then we validate this using the NCBO annotator, which is an online tool for recognizing biological concept. It's an ontology-driven tool developed at Stanford. And we also included the property same as to this actually the disease ontology. So we used the same tool on GeneWiki since there is no agreement on a medical condition. So we had to run the same tool on GeneWiki, and this way we could find the same associations and the same linking with the disease ontology category. So finally, we ended up with this the raw data with the Mashup. So you can see through the information about human variation provided by SNPedia, we could have some additional gene disease linkings. And in the end, we format the results for presentation here. And we used online queries to make just tables with known variants on each gene page, where you can see obviously property values. We did the same thing on disease pages, where we put, again, online queries just to show the genes associated to which SNPs for the same disease, as you can see here. And yeah, this of course is possible to run semantic search using pretty much the same syntax. This is an online query. And wow. And in RDF, you can use a Sparkle query for the same result. Okay, so just a few numbers and I'm done. Just to say, out of 1,000 gene disease association in SNPedia and 3,000 from GeneWiki text, we got this body of gene disease relationship. And you can see so there is a very little overlap across them. So we thought that was related to the way we were uncovering the association, which was different. So if you run this the same way, so you run just the NCBio annotator, you have a very low overlap. So this seems to tell us that this information, there's a different information that you can convey together and make it useful as a structured data. So my summary is that you got the BioWikis, and you can use automated integration to make BioWikis even more useful. And you can use a concept recognition tool to identify those latent relationships and perhaps enable some serendipitous discovery of new relationships. So thanks to Mike.